But I noticed ratings were down when he's on the show. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It could have just been a bad week in general. You never know.
It could be. And I think people are freaking out in the Northwest Indiana, Chicago market due to the fact weather is out of control.
Yeah, they don't know. The weather doesn't know whether it wants to be hot, cold. We're in October. Like, we got to make up our minds here for global warming.
I mean, I'll tell you what. For any golfers out there, like, they got to be just ecstatic right now, being able to get out this late in the season.
Yeah, for
I remember getting out Christmas one time, close to it.
Did you?
A while back. It was like the second week of December. It was pretty close to Christmas. Anyhow, I'm in the garage, the bunker, a.k.a. sweating my dick off. So it's going to be, the shows, we always keep about 30 minutes. So let's start off with what we always do on this fantasy football show. Our main sponsor, of course, Sean's Architectural Metal Solutions, Inc. We thank him and their company, ACM panels, slate, and really anything exterior, flat metal, flush panel, corrugated. Just reach out to them at gmsoul.com. They'll be able to help you. Also, a new sponsor here, powered by, the pens might be out of control here now. Bauhaus, they back out because we got to go to the actual retailers now. But we got a call this week from a company called Rolling Embers. And, boatloads of product here. And I just want to say something that's interesting about Rolling Embers real quick. They have a very, very nice area where you can go there, buy their product, go out back and do your thing, or under the site. Like, you literally sit there. I could now work there and consume.
Right.
I'm never leaving. I'm going to be divorced. I'm going to live with the budget. So if any of you are looking to check these guys out, they're trying to really destroy the market before you go all the way into Buchanan and Niles, Rolling Meadows. There's a little bit of a premium here, but the taxes are still a little bit the same and closer. New Buffalo, Rolling Meadows. Check them out. Duke, you're a huge fan of Rolling Meadows, right? You like all their stuff. They were out of vape pens. No pens today.
Yeah, I know. It was unfortunate, man.
No resin, no nothing. Yeah, Duke's like, man, that stunk. All right, let's go into some injuries here. What do you got here for this week, Duke? Anything?
We got Tre'Davious White of the Buffalo Bills suffering a torn Achilles. Huge blow to the Buffalo Bills defense. Patriots defense, Matthew Judon, torn bicep, out at least 2 months.
Wow.
Huge blow to a Patriot defense that is relying on his leadership for a very young core, not just on the defensive side of the ball, but the offense to be a main leader for this team. And Kenny Pickett of the Steelers injured his knee in their 30-6 loss to the Texans, but is practicing tomorrow.
Okay.
As far as my sources have confirmed.
Okay.
So should be interesting to see how the Steelers will unfold. I mean, many of people thought coming into this season that Pittsburgh was going to be a team to look out for in the AFC. Let's look at the real picture. Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, needs to be fired. That offense is just out of sorts. They have so much talent on the offensive side of the ball, and it's not used properly. I mean, it's frustrating. You have Najee Harris, who's a good young back. George Pickens, who's a young, explosive wide receiver. And Kenny Pickett is a talented, cute quarterback when he's used right. Imagine if the Steelers had a top-tier offensive coordinator, what this team could be, along with their defense already.
I feel like they're trying to keep that identity when they had Ben Roethlisberger there.
Yeah.
That steel curtain kind of, but you're right. It's like they're not running the ball, but I also feel like there's a little bit of dysfunction there.
There is.
And they're trying to figure it out, but it's kind of not surprising in a way. But anyways, continue. So that was one thing you were talking about Pittsburgh. So I'm going to interrupt you there.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. No, Pittsburgh, if they could find their identity on the offensive side of the ball and stop doing what they've been doing these last 4 weeks, they can be a playoff team.
You still feel
they can go far.
You still feel okay about the trade you made, Najee Harris for?
I didn't play him last week.
Now, who did you trade Najee Harris for?
Who did I what?
You traded Najee Harris, correct?
You're cutting out there, Dave.
1 second.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. You traded Najee Harris to Alec.
I traded for Najee Harris.
Okay, so you got Najee Harris out of that
I
deal.
acquired Najee Harris, yes.
And who did you trade?
Yeah.
Who did you trade for Najee Harris?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I thought you won that trade. Hands down.
I mean, I hope so, because you want in fantasy, you want a running back that can catch the ball and run the ball effectively, one more than the other. You want that. You don't want a one-dimensional back in your lineup.
Long term too, right? I mean, you're talking if you're going to make a playoff push and you want those colder months of the year. I mean, I hear about it every year, and I'll continue to say it. You want some dogs back there, and you know Pittsburgh's going to run the ball, the ball, and then when you're not expecting it, they're gonna do something with this QB.
Yeah.
So that's hit or miss. So we're not starting Pittsburgh quarterbacks, are you?
No, of course not.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the standings right now, the top 7 teams in the AFC, Pittsburgh is 6. Pittsburgh, after 4 weeks, I know it's early to talk playoff pictures. It's way early in that perspective. But they would be the 6th seed right now.
Yeah,
but they would not make it past.
Not a lot of teams. And just not a lot of production there fantasy wise.
No.
So for folks who had Pickett, who's the wide receiver who got hurt again there in Pittsburgh?
Dante Johnson
going down. What are you doing as an owner in a 10-team league versus a 12-team league, or does it really depend on how heavy you are with your bench situation, or is there somebody on Pittsburgh that people should be looking at here?
George Pickens is the main wide receiver that you should look for as far as a weapon for this team, for your fantasy teams.
Okay,
because he can make a play at any moment in the game.
I thought this guy was just lights out. I mean, last week at least.
Yeah, George Pickens is very slept on.
Let's talk about some of these games here that have major fantasy value, but are shit games to watch. And some could say this was an exciting game. The Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. This was a Broncos team that got blown out by 70 points in Miami. They came in as 2.5, some places 3-point favorites. And I was a Bears backer here. I am a Bears fan, obviously, as you know. Fantasy perspective, Justin Fields putting over 50 points up on the board in a standard 10 team. We do have half-point PPR. Russell Wilson, what did he do? And, is this something that folks should be looking for moving forward? And is the Patrick Mahomes for Justin Fields trade still something that, Pat Mahomes owner should be looking for?
No.
Because if you think about it, Duke, a lot of time left here, but Pat Mahomes still putting up big numbers.
He is putting up big numbers. No, if you're having Justin Fields for Patrick Mahomes trade, I wouldn't pull that, because
I was offered that by Jamsol.
Yeah, and I know.
And for the listeners, sorry for cutting you off, but for the listeners' sake, I have Justin Fields, and comically, Duke, we could talk about this. What did I not do this week? I didn't even start.
You didn't just start Justin Fields.
I started Dak Prescott
and still won.
And I'm gonna win. I needed that win bad. 2-2 now. Oh no, 2-2. I think. All right, sorry. Go ahead. What are we talking about?
The Chiefs' offense is struggling through 4 weeks. They've been in 3.
What happened in that Jets game? They looked like they were going to come out and put up 40.
I mean, I wouldn't say they were going to put up 40.
It looked like it.
Yeah, it looked like it, but the Jets' defense is still a top 10 defense, regardless of their offensive struggles.
It took them a couple series as being down 17, I think, nothing or 3?
Yeah, 17-0. Yeah. It took that with a defense really, the Chiefs gave that safety up. I don't think that should have been a safety. In my preference, that shouldn't have been a safety. But
what do you think of that? I knew a team who lost on that safety, and they were playing at the Jets defense. To me, when that was being broadcast, I agree with Chris Collinsworth 100% when he was like, I don't know. That was the face mask started outside of the end zone. Now,
it did.
They tried to literally spin it, no pun intended, or twist it, no pun intended again. when they were like, oh, it's when the twist starts. But the fucking twist was like in the end zone after the face mask had already happened. And when you slow it down, it's like, come on.
It's obvious if you slow down the replay and watch in slow motion.
And what happened at the end with Pat Mahomes and these kind of odd flags we're seeing here? Jets should have won that game, right? I mean, this is garbage. Sorry, I'm going to stick to fantasy here.
No, that's fine.
Stick to fantasy, but the games have a lot to do because I feel like, for example, you're a Travis Kelce owner.
Yes.
You were probably ecstatic early, and then what the hell second half? Did he take a blowy from our girl, Tyler? What's her name?
Taylor Swift.
Tinder Swift?
No, Kelce had 6 catches for 60 yards.
Okay, all game. I didn't see the full.
Yeah, he didn't have a bad game statistically, but you're talking about the flag that they threw. That was a late flag.
Right. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
That flag was thrown way too late. Was the call correct? Yes. But it should have been thrown early if you're going to do it. It goes both ways. I can see why Jets coach Robert Saleh was upset and frustrated with the call. But that's the NFL. No official is perfect. They're going to make mistakes because, yeah, everyone was going to say that, oh, they did that for the Chiefs to get the win. No. Every ref and official makes a mistake. It happens. Sauce Gardner is a top 3 corner in the NFL. So,
good point.
You know, I mean, I think if you're asking me, my preference, he's the best corner in the league.
Well, some will say, and some are saying right now, and what do you think? Is Patrick Mahomes to me is the new Tom Brady? He's got to be the rough favorite, right?
Yes, he's the best quarterback in the league, but he's also struggling right now. Statistically, the best quarterback in the league, I think, right now is still Tua.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look. I mean,
as far as Mahomes, as far as talent and everything he brings to the game, then Mahomes, yes.
Sure. He doesn't have to do as much, but will do it when he needs to. And I think he's smarter, been there before, right? He's had the injuries of ankle bugs or whatever. But, I want to just put this to bed too. Everybody talks about, well, if the Bears would have just drafted him. Listen, if the Bears drafted Pat Mahomes would have never won a title, and they would have destroyed him too. Because it's fucking dysfunctional across the board. So
and that's what I say also about when it comes to how they have the top 2 picks right now in this upcoming draft. If they go after Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., those careers are ruined. Because 1, it's the ownership. 2, it's the coaching staff. Who are you going to bring as a head coach if you were to bring in a new head coach? Who are you going to bring in for him?
The only option, and I'm going to go deep here, is you got. I know they can't do this, but you got to just ride that weird. You got to bring in Deion Sanders, prime time.
I don't think he's coming to the NFL to coach.
He ain't. I know. I'm just kidding. I think this. I think what's really happening with the Bears organization is just this. It's business, and they have a lot of pressure on moving this team and deciding on what the hell they're going to do, where they're going. Arlington. I mean, and
they're smart to go to Arlington.
A guy like Eberflus is I don't fully blame him, but like you said, I just think that they were going to lose that game against the Denver Broncos, regardless if they were 3-1 or 0-3. That game was going to happen. It was a goofy one, okay, but it doesn't. It don't look good. It's bad. It's bad. I thought it was bad with Nagy. Like, I want Matt Nagy back because
Matt Nagy had a winning record as the Bears head coach.
Yeah, and at least they were dancing in the locker room. Now, yet they haven't won. The Bears streak continues, and it's now been 350 something days since the Bears have won a football game.
It was like 3.
I think
this the other day. I think it's like 344.
But there's still value in these teams that aren't doing good from a record perspective. Thursday night, Chicago Bears, Washington Redskins, great defensive line. What are we looking at from a fantasy perspective this Thursday night football? Both teams here, I believe, on a short week. Correct me if I'm wrong, Duke.
It is Thursday night. Yep.
But did Washington play on Sunday?
Washington, yes.
And what was the outcome of that game? And I'm kidding you not. I was out. And when I went on this PTO break, my daughter's birthday weekend, one of the promises was 0 football on Sunday. So I did 0. This is crazy.
Washington is coming off a loss to the Eagles in overtime, 34-31.
How 34-31? So it was close. So they covered. Well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So got it. All right. That's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
What's your take on this week? Let's get a prediction and fantasy perspective. Some players, fantasy players from both Washington side and Chicago side that folks should be starting and then staying away from.
Okay. So as far as the spread, Washington is a 6.5 point favorite in this game.
That's absurd, but I get it.
It's not really absurd because you also got to
understand
that Washington's offense is a step ahead of where they were last year with Eric Bieniemy calling plays. He's a great offensive mind. He's going to have a pretty good game plan coming together for this week against the Bears. But as far as who to play,
take your time, pull it up. I can edit this if you want. Take your time, pull up some players. And if these are for players that are not only available on the waiver, I'm talking players that are drafted. And if you've got a tough decision to make with some of these folks at wide receiver, and the New York Jets, yes, things like that. Thanks. Go ahead.
I think the best fantasy options really it's going to have to be mainly on the Washington side. I think Sam Howell can put up a decent game against the Bears defense. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Commanders. Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. This is a matchup favorable game for the Commanders offense against the Bears defense that's struggled all season.
If I'm Washington, I'm throwing a lot of screens and I'm pounding the ball all day. I see Bears stop run early, maybe a lot of gap. If you run the ball on the Bears, they will fall apart because they're tired naturally late, but this team gets gassed late.
Yeah. But if you decide to start Fields against the Commanders, it is a risk.
Because
their front four is arguably the best front four in the NFL.
I don't argue that.
Skill-wise.
I'm stuck here with this. Is it Dak Prescott? Who do the Cowboys have here this week?
The 49ers.
Oh my gosh.
It's in San Francisco.
All right, we're starting and here's the real kick in the dick here, Duke. This is a Thursday night game, so I've got to make this decision. And you know what?
The Bears Commanders is Thursday.
I'm starting Justin Fields, no doubt, in this situation.
Are you?
And here's why.
Well, yeah, it's a matchup favored heavy game for you to have Fields out there.
I want Fields out there because I just want his scrambling ability over Dak's ability in general, and especially against the 49ers. Now, this is a game that the 49ers can sleep on. Now, let me ask you a question because, again, I didn't watch any football.
Okay.
Daughter's birthday weekend. San Francisco 49ers, what did they do against Arizona Cardinals?
They took care of business, got the victory.
How many points they win by?
They won by the 49ers. They won by 19.
I had them at minus 14.5. Another ticket cashed. And guess what? That's a team, that's a Super Bowl caliber team. And
the 49ers?
They want to go out and take care of business. And we've talked about this last week. We're not going to get into this too much right there. But Dak Prescott, 100% starting Justin Fields. Okay, back to Washington, Chicago. Here's what I think. I think you stay with whoever you got, right? Stay with Fields. Stay with DJ Moore. Yes, 1 second. Hold on. Come here. We got to get Joe in a minute from the bus. Hold on, Mal. This is going to be epic, man. When we're in a bigger facility, we're making money, and we're telling stories about I used to fucking my daughter, Anyways, stay with who you had. I think the tough part with the Bears is you don't know if it's going to be Fields. For me, it's just Justin Fields. DJ Moore, if you have to, in the flex. Do not look at Claypool based on the history. I don't even care if he had a great game last game or not.
He's probably out the door. No, he was a healthy scratch.
Okay, healthy scratch. Okay, thank you very much. Again, for those of you just joining the program, Duke, he's the guy in the basket paying attention every freaking week. So am I. We're both in the same league, if you're wondering. Okay, let's move forward here. This weekend, what are your overall thoughts on our personal league? It's a 10-team standard. How do you think things are going? You got your first win of the season. Talk a little bit about that.
I did.
And go through the players on your team because this is important. A lot of people out there listening right now, they want to hear player talk. They don't want to, and it's my fault. I'll sit here and talk. I'll talk football all day. Go ahead.
No, you're good. It was a good victory overall. I think.
Start from QB all the way down for yourself.
I had Russell Wilson going because of the Garoppolo concussion.
Now, how many points did he have? And folks, we're in a 10-team standard, half-point PPR.
Wilson put up 41 for me.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's Russell a shit Wilson. Team, folks.
And the thing is with Russell Wilson, too, it's Sean Payton has made him a better quarterback this season. It's not the offense that's wrong in Denver, but we'll save that.
I think they're going to be a valuable team to put money on, by the way. Tune into the Hashmark show this Friday, 5 p.m. Central is when they schedule their shows, if they can edit it on time. Their dickhead producer, Dave, has big-time issues. Continue with your running backs, Duke.
Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift had decent games. DeAndre Swift has been a huge pickup for me. I drafted him, and I forgot what round I drafted him, but he's been very valuable. A.J. Brown had his best game of the season for me, putting up 38.5 points.
Hard to believe because he had a great game last week, didn't he, against the Titans?
No,
he didn't play last week.
The Eagles,
he did not play well.
They played Tampa, but
he didn't have a touchdown last week.
No, A.J. Brown
thank you.
Has struggled.
I'm just taking notes.
You're good. Deebo Samuel did not have a catch.
Hold on one second. Keep talking. I'm just going to talk my dog.
Travis Kelce had 6 catches for 60 yards. Decent game, but nothing too fancy. Adam Thielen, 7 catches for 76 yards. A struggling Carolina Panther offense.
Sorry. Continue with that thought. I'm going to be back in a second. Feel free to take breaks and talk about anything you want. But then when I come back, we'll wrap up and stuff. I just got to put batteries in her light bright.
Okay. Sounds
cool.
Good.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Hard stop. When do you have to leave by? I figured we'd get off by 3:30.
No, you're good.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Going into this week, it's going to hopefully we can continue to get another victory this week as well. I play Gorilla Exhibit this week. Right now, I am favored by 28 points. Very big, favorable game for me in a fantasy perspective. Lineups are always changed during the middle of the week. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of favorable matchups for me in my lineup. Hopefully Debo can get a catch this week. I know he didn't really play like himself. He was coming off injuries. He only had, I think, 3 carries last week in the backfield. So Travis Kelce hopefully can have a 15-plus point performance for me this week. I need that. I need a lot of my skill players to get a lot of points. But I'm thinking about switching my defense up from the Eagles defense from the Pittsburgh one. Pittsburgh plays Baltimore this week. Not a really favorable defensive matchup for Steelers defense, whoever has them in fantasy. They're playing a high-power offense this week. The Eagles are playing the Rams, which that's probably the safer bet. Actually, I'm going to change that right at this moment. I am going to update that. That way that is out of the way because I do not trust Pittsburgh's defense against Baltimore. So that's going to be saved in my lineup, and there we go. I will now check the line to see what the line is looking like. It only went down half a point. So it's still a big matchup for me. Every game is important going forward. There's 10 weeks left in the season for fantasy owners. 10 weeks, I feel like, is a big time frame of crunch time because you're fighting for a playoff spot. I'm coming off a championship season last year. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to take every game week by week, game by game, fingers crossed for no injuries, nothing to linger. Hopefully there's players that get dropped that I can add to make the team even better. I did that last year, and it paid off. So who knows what will happen? I mean, fantasy is different each week. It's a luck-based game, but if you know what you're doing, you know who to look out for, it's always going to play in your favor. Just be prepared for that, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, what's your projected? I'm a big projected guy.
I'm projected. I have a 59% chance to win this coming week with a 27-point favorite.
Oh, you're good. I think you're good.
Hopefully.
You already gave I got one more question.
Yeah.
MLB preview. I was talking to, we're going to do some cross show here real quick. I was talking to Jessica about Dugout Dialogue. Great person.
Yeah.
And she was like, yo, I'd love to have Duke on. And what are your thoughts real quick for the listeners out there who are jumping into this, any series playoffs here that, folks could possibly maybe put some money down that might have some good return on investment here for a possible wild card team that has a chance to make a run here? What are your thoughts also on the playoff start here with the playoff playing games? So much.
I'm going to go with both conferences. I'm going to go with the best wild card team that can make a deep run in each conference. I am going to go National League first, and I'm going to go with the Phillies for the team to have the highest shot to make a deep playoff run. And the American League, I have to go with the Texas Rangers. Bruce Bochy has won 3 World Series championships as a manager already. They have a really deep team, a lot of all-star talent. I believe in what Texas is doing.
Bruce Bochy. Is that two with San Francisco?
3. 3 and 5 years.
Buster Posey and company, correct?
Yep. I'm a huge fan of Buster Posey.
Buster Posey, how's he doing?
I'm guessing enjoying the retirement life.
I thought you lived by him. No, you live by that's right, Allen Robinson, who moved, who's doing his thing. Yeah, now in Pittsburgh, which is I don't want to tell anybody that we didn't bring him up during the fantasy segment, but I feel bad for him. Allen Robinson really hasn't had a guy like an Aaron Rodgers-esque type quarterback who I think he needs. I mean, I think he would be doing decent in Jacksonville with that quarterback, with our
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. What are your thoughts there?
If Allen Robinson was in Jacksonville?
Well, I mean, I just think if Allen Robinson had a decent quarterback to get in the ball to.
He can be a very solid wide receiver. I mean, when Trubisky was throwing to him and he was putting up decent numbers.
They were good.
They were good with it. I don't know why they ran away from that formula, but no one ever understands the Bears formula nowadays.
For now a decades. For his World Series pick, you can probably check him out very soon here on the Dugout Dialogue show. But he gave you his matchup. We'll save your championship winner between the Rangers and the Phillies for Dugout Dialogue. So we'll do that. Final thoughts heading into this week here. Good luck. Make sure you're playing the right players. Check your fantasy, frickin' team. And I'm talking to myself here.
Yeah, you got to do that.
I mean, if I would have lost. And, here's the other thing. I missed my picks and pick them. But again, I told my daughter, I was like, no football this weekend. So I sacrificed a lot. I'm ready for the return now. That's all I got this week. Make sure you're checking fantasy team. Duke, any final thoughts?
I mean, it's going to be a big week for a lot of teams going forward. We talk about not only for fantasy players, in particular for your leagues, there's a lot of big matchups coming up. But if we're talking just actual NFL matchups, there's a lot of big ones coming up this week. So this is going to make or break the contenders and the pretenders going forward, because there's a lot of teams that early on this season that have really good going into week 5 on. We're really going to find out who's going to be the contenders going forward.
Right now, what's your Super Bowl if you had to pick today?
The matchup that I'd want to see,
Yeah.
it would be the 49ers and Dolphins. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I after hearing what I heard this week, did Miami win this week or they bye?
No, they got blown out by Buffalo. But Miami's always struggled playing in Buffalo, so I take that as kind of a fluke. I'm not going to give up on Miami for that.
That's why Miami doesn't get out of it. KC for me, and I think unfortunately for 49er fans, it doesn't pan out.
I mean,
I think
the 49ers just make the Super Bowl this year. That's a big win. You don't think they're making the Super Bowl?
No.
Who else is going to make it?
I think it's between, unfortunately, Philly and Detroit.
Okay, yeah, okay. You think the Lions are that much a step of ready to do this?
That offensive line is built for winter. And really, in my opinion, that team is built for any condition. And Jared Goff, calling it right now. You think you want to talk about a fucking redemption tour? And now
of course.
They're all playing for this guy. And I don't want to say redemption tour like he's going around, he's all pissed at these guys. But listen, quietly, whether he's got to throw it or just fucking hand the ball off to, oh, by the way, David Montgomery, who had a phenomenal week.
Yes, he did.
And so did Jamar Gibbs. Is it Jamar or Jameer?
Jameer Gibbs. Yep.
Who's on my team.
Yep.
And still had a fucking great game. So I'm not sad that I don't own Mike Montgomery, but I might be seeking a trade this week. So Mike Montgomery owners, if you're listening.
David Montgomery owners.
Michael Myers Montgomery.
That is David Montgomery.
Are you a haunted house guy? Halloween?
I am not.
Either am I. Should we go and film one? Me and you. Now, here's the thing.
All right. If you want a side bit of a story, I can tell you a side bit of a story.
Not yet. We'll DIT it. I mean,
we'll DIT it.
We'll DIT it because I got to go here. Okay. HFT episode 11 here. NFL week 5.
Make sure you go back at the playlist and figure out which episode it is before you say it's 11.
I will 100%. You're right. Because this shit does matter. And
it does.
The show's doing well. So let's also thank our sponsor, our other sponsor, Bourbon Thornton True Barbecue Whiskey. There's a bottle in there somewhere, probably under Duke's pants, stealing it. Been drinking.
I don't drink all that.
We also there's another one in there. Which one did
my Radio Media Idol drinks? Liquor. You know
who's that? Who's
Media Idol?
Billy Idol? Oh, no. Howard Stern.
No, Media Idol.
Skip Bayless. Sorry.
Oh no, never. It's Shannon Sharp. It'll never be Skip Bayless.
Come
on, Dave. You're talking about somebody who
I respect.
Delusional with Shannon a lot of it. Oh, tremendous.
And I like Skip. I like them all.
Tremendous respect for Shannon Sharp.
I am a media guy. I'll interview anybody anytime. I don't hate. I love. And finally, I had a question that was that came in.
Okay.
If you own Donald Montgomery from the Detroit Lions, and you own Gibbs, that's a flex RB2 situation for me. As long as they're healthy, I'm playing both of them. Your thoughts on that? That's the question email of the week here. The Messenger, the AOL old school Duke Messenger here will preview your show as well. Sports Messenger coming up. But message inbox. What's your thoughts on that? Are you playing both of them? RB2 flex? Or are you doing RB1, RB2?
For David Montgomery, he's at an RB1 or RB2 in any league. But if I had to pick one of the two to be a flex, I know, like I just said, with RB1, RB2, but you could put either one of them at any spot and do just fine. That's how dynamic that backfield is in Detroit.
It is. You're pretty safe, and I think any one's going to snap off. Real quick on that note, the Detroit Lions. I was going to say, I lost my thought there. Continue. Sorry.
No, what are you going to say? Who they're playing this week? They're playing the Packers.
No. Where is it? Is it in Detroit?
I believe it is.
Tight ends.
Yes,
can we flex tight ends in our league?
Yes, we can.
All right, even better. More on that next week. I think tight ends are being overlooked. There's a lot of them. Thank you. Drive safe. Don't drink and drive. As always.
Yeah, never do that.
Wrap it up. That's what I used to always tell people in college. Is always wrap it up. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got this week. Thank you, and enjoy. See you guys later.
Yep.
God bless. All right, we're out.